March Madness brackets have been revealed. I'm Wesley Clark here with Andrew Hyden. Welcome back to the Step Brothers. We went through the conference championship brackets. That was a tease to the main course. Andrew, what's going on? Are you excited for what's to come in March?
Yeah, of course. Greatest postseason in the world is here. Obviously, tough afternoon for me as a Michigan fan, but got to look forward. And just beyond Michigan, I mean, just great college basketball ahead. So, absolutely, I'm excited.
Yeah, so we're going to go through the four regions. Ohio State and 8th seed, they kind of came back late in the season to get Bruce Thornton into the tournament, and then Michigan. Tough ending to the season, obviously, today losing to Purdue, but they're a number one seed and it did their job and well-deserved to be atop of a region. But we'll go through the Michigan regular season and what their overall stance is right now going into the tournament.
Yeah, we'll start with Michigan. Obviously, insane regular season, 31-3. That last loss to Purdue in the Big Ten tournament championship is obviously a bit of a stain on that. But you lose to Duke, who is obviously the number one overall seed in the tournament. Lose to Wisconsin earlier in the year, and then you get revenge just yesterday. But these past couple weeks, I just don't feel like this team has been in a very good rhythm. They still managed to find a way to win some close games, which could definitely be a good experience, against like Iowa, Ohio State, Wisconsin, but just hasn't been the same, especially on offense, the same level of rhythm, I would say. Just doesn't look like guys are in sync. I'm sure that the LJ Kaysen injury has something to do with that, but just overall, just not great. And then today in that game, I don't want to think too much on it because there's obviously more important games ahead, but against Purdue just looked kind of soft and got out physicaled, which is not something I thought I'd be saying after that game with the way that the last game against Purdue went. But Oscar Clough and Trey Kaufman-Renn just kind of had their way against Michigan's bigs. Whereas Johnson, who was probably one of Michigan's more consistent players all year, was pretty much a complete no-show for the Big Ten tournament. Just didn't get much out of him on either end at all. So very weird. Just didn't even the two games that we won against Wisconsin and Ohio State didn't feel like it was Michigan's standard of basketball this year. So definitely worrisome going into the most important tournament of the year, obviously, but maybe loss today can be a good wake-up call, not only for the players but for the staff. Know how to prepare these guys better going forward because it's all on the line now. So
yeah, against that was Wisconsin game, I was shocked. After losing to them earlier in the season, you would think you come out there and win by 10, a double-digit win. And was there any time left when he hit the last shot?
0.3,
yeah. So you got the win to move yourself in the championship, but the late in the season, especially this stretch of March, you play 6 games. It shows how you're going to play in March. These teams who get hot late in the season, and it shows in every single sport, but especially basketball, you get hot, you stay hot, and that goes in a tournament. We saw that with NC State last year and what they did winning the ACC. You don't want Michigan to play soft in what is now the most important part of the season, and we're hoping that they can turn. You hope that they can turn that around, or they'll have a quick exit after just a phenomenal season. I don't know if losing your point guard is justice to that. I would be ashamed if that is the Achilles heel of the Michigan basketball 2026 season. But it's definitely something to say. Ohio State having an okay year and seemed like they struggled against them as well, and then losing to Purdue, who you dominated early in the season. So definitely Michigan, they play Thursday. These next couple of days, they got to dig deep and find something that just a reasoning on why they haven't played their top ball in March.
Yeah, I mean, something's just been missing. LJ Kaysen being out, I'm sure you can point to that as something that affects it, but we won't really ever be able to know for sure. I mean, there were games early in the season where Michigan was really at its peak, it felt like, where LJ Kaysen wasn't really a factor. So who's to say how much of an impact that has? But yeah, hopefully a much needed wake up call. Just didn't look like Michigan basketball throughout this weekend. But, it's the Big Ten tournament. It's probably good to find some of these things out about your team before you go into the real thing. And, you got to be on it now. So if there's any thought that Michigan won't be playing with their best effort, at least now, I mean, that goes out the window, right? Like, it's every team's going to be giving it their best shot. So we'll see what they can do.
Yeah, and I think having these couple of days of rest is going to pay well for Michigan. It's not, we talked about during the football season, and that was a problem with Ohio State with their 24 days off. This is a perfect amount of time for the Michigan basketball team to just chill and figure out what's up before they play a 16 seed. They don't know who it is just yet, but it'll be good for a turnaround this week. 3 days of rest, 16 seed, and then, you continue forward playing the 8 or 9.
Yeah, playing on Thursday after playing on Sunday is not ideal. I know Dusty May would have rather played on Friday, especially Axel Endeborg had a low ankle sprain today, and he's hopeful to be back before the first game. That first game against the 16 seed, hopefully, we don't need him that much, but it is against UMBC, who was, I think we all remember that game in 2018, what they did. But yeah, just overall, I think Michigan on average scored around 88 points a game this year throughout the regular season. And in the Big Ten tournament, they scored almost 20 points lower than that in all 3 games. So that points to, obviously there's some variance within the sport, right? Like, you're not going to score your season average every single game. Other teams are good defensively. They have something to do with that. But that trend kind of shows that there's more on Michigan's part, that something's just not going well. There's just not a lot of flow there, it felt like. So, yeah. But luckily, quick week. Don't have to wait much longer for more basketball. So, yeah.
Yeah.
You want to get into
yeah, we can go into Ohio State. A good March. They were last 4 out. That's the saying.
Somewhere on the bubble, yeah.
More on the bubble. NIT projected for a couple weeks. And then they turned it around. They beat Purdue. Let me read it here. Beat Penn State by a good amount. And then Iowa had a pretty good game against Michigan in the quarterfinals. Yeah, quarterfinals. But it was a good stretch to just solidify them into the tournament. No questions needed. They get their 8 seed. They play TCU. They're 2.5-point favorites in that game in the 8 and 9 matchup. Winner plays Duke. Right now, like I said, you play your best ball in March, good things happen. And this is what's good for the Ohio State Buckeyes basketball program that has slumped the last couple of years. They're in it for the first time since Bruce Thornton has been at the program. He's a senior now, so it's been a while for Ohio State. But it's good to see them turn around. John Mobley Jr., who was inconsistent at times during the season, has stepped it up big time, the sophomore. And it's come together. The defense, more physical than it was in the beginning of the year. It's all around better. Offense, defense, straight up. Coaching, I mean, I don't know what they've worked on in practice, but something has changed with this Ohio State team, and it's good to see a program like this turn it around after a couple of years of suffering. But just a good program overall for years with Aaron Craft, Sullinger, and D'Angelo Russell, and they're finally back in the tournament.
Yeah, no, I mean, they've been as hot as anybody in the country right now. Kind of in a similar boat to TCU, actually, where TCU, maybe they're not super hot at the moment, but they did just beat Texas Tech a few days ago. They've had some key wins. They beat Iowa State. So 2 I would just call them dangerous teams, maybe teams that can punch above their weight. And we'll get more into the bracket side of it later, I know, but yeah, I mean, that win over Purdue, I know Diebler, it feels effortless for him at this point, probably, but I mean, you see what Purdue just did this week. I mean, they dominated Nebraska, Michigan, some of the better teams in the Big Ten. And that win over Wisconsin, I think, for Ohio State was also season defining. So yeah, Bruce Thornton in March, and as a Michigan fan, I never want to see Ohio State succeed in anything really, but that's a guy that absolutely deserves it. So
definitely
fun watch.
I mean, Bruce Thornton could be starting on several ranked teams, so him personally to be able to say he went to March Madness is good to say. And that Ohio State lost to Iowa And to me, when they lost
Mhm.
that game, they looked lost. They turned the page into March, beat Purdue, third time in a row for Diebler. Hasn't lost against Purdue, and man, it just a quick turnaround from Iowa to Purdue, just a couple days, and they see themselves in the tournament. So we'll see what happens. They play on Tuesday, and good things happening for Ohio State on the basketball side of things. But we can move into the tournament.
Sure.
9 Big Ten teams will be competing for a national championship this year. The Big Ten in general, these last couple of years have been fantastic. And the one thing, the narrative around it is because the Big Ten has been so strong in the regular season, do they beat each other up? Well, we've kind of seen that these last couple of years, and we're hoping that it changes here in 2026. But you can show one of the regions, or if you have
Yeah.
anything to
Where do you
say
want to
about
start?
that.
Start in the East. Number 1 overall seed with Duke. Early thoughts. Ohio State versus TCU. This is the very first game, I think, of March Madness. I think this is the early game on Thursday.
12-15.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is definitely the toughest region by far. I mean, you look at some of the schools and the brands that are in this region: UConn, UCLA, Michigan State, Louisville has been decent at times, Kansas, St. John's. I mean, those are some teams that are, UCLA has been playing recently much better than a 7 seed, especially if they get Tyler Bilodeau and Donovan Dent back. St. John's definitely could play at a higher level than a 5 seed. So pretty tough draw if you're Duke here, I think. Number 1 overall
Definitely.
seed. Yeah.
Anyway, because we just talked about TCU and Ohio State being somewhat hot, getting themselves in the tournament, and all of a sudden,
Yeah. That's probably the
Duke,
best
you're the number 1
8-9 game.
seed in the entire tournament, and here you are having to face TCU or Ohio State, obviously assuming that they're going to beat Duke. But then St. John's just went back to back to beat, for the Big East. One thing about UConn, they did lose to Marquette. We'll see how they can play in this tournament with, longevity, playing so many games in a row. And same thing with Michigan State.
Yeah.
We've seen them also suffer. But overall, yes, solid region.
Yeah.
For sure.
No, this is definitely the most loaded region. Something that's interesting is Purdue's win over Michigan today, I think bumped them up to the 2 seed line, which effectively dropped Michigan State down to the 3 seed line. So maybe some consolation there for us fellow Michigan fans. But yeah, let me ask you this. What are, I know just a few weeks ago, Ohio State was talking about whether they would even get into this thing. What is your kind of expectation as far as how far they can go? What would you be satisfied with? What would you call a successful tournament run?
I think losing that first game, I just wound up forgetting about this tournament because I have seen Ohio State so many times in March Madness that you just kind of forget when they lose. Kind of the same thing with football. You lose this year, you're just going to kind of forget about it because the next year they, hopefully be in again.
Yeah.
Definitely beating TCU is mandatory.
Mm-hmm.
But then you have to go up against number 1. It's almost too much to ask for. So probably just winning 1 game.
Yeah.
If they were, down at that, I just gotta see, I guess a 5 seed, 5 or 4 seed, and you win 3-2, at least 2 games, 3 games, satisfied. But that 8 or 9 draw at times is tough. The 9 seed does win the majority of this matchup. Ohio State, the 8 seed. But yeah, if Ohio State wins this, plays a solid game against Duke, I'll be fine. Yeah. I'll definitely hate Duke for sure that day.
Oh, I don't like it very much right now either. So I'll be right there with you on it. That would be if Ohio State matched up with Duke, I might root for the Buckeyes in that situation.
Appreciate that. Other people that I'm associated with will be.
It's one thing to say that, but once you get to that point, then like a part of me wanted Michigan State to win in the Big Ten tournament this week so we could match up in the championship. And then once as soon as the ball tipped off against UCLA, I was like, yeah, you know what? Let me rewind. That was a mistake.
I thought it was funny because I was at the Michigan Duke game, and you're upset with the outcome, but your hate for Duke increased. And I texted you.
Skyrocketed.
I said, "Don't worry, I'm hate watching more than I am enjoying Duke, and you appreciate that because we got to keep the rivalry strong.
Of course.
But yeah, no, it would be nice to if you win 2 games here. All right, cool.
Yeah.
Peace.
I mean,
See you next year.
I'll just say, Ohio State probably, I said one of the hottest teams right now. How they match up with Duke, I don't think they do very well. We'll see with Duke's injuries. I think they're going to get Pat Ngongba back, but Caleb Foster might still be out. So Ohio State, if that's the case, would absolutely have the guard advantage there. But I don't know. If I'm an Ohio State fan, the thought of Cam Boozer driving down the lane and Christoph Tilly is the last line of defense, I wouldn't feel too hot about that.
Devin Royal, he's a center, just hit the 1,000-point mark for Ohio State. He's going to have to go off. You can't expect the guards, Mobley and Bruce Thornton, to do everything. He's got to do something with it. We've seen, we both saw the whole Duke-Michigan game and how physical they can be with Michigan being as physical as they are. It's going to be tough for anyone to beat this team. So for Ohio State, you got to create, keep that intensity up of what they've been doing the last couple of games. I would say if they play the way they did against Purdue, there's no reason why this is not a 2-possession game with a minute remaining. But you got to play that top ball that they did in March.
Yeah, it's a good point. And then before we move on, I will say about this 5-12 matchup, both St. John's and Northern Iowa are probably teams that feel like they should be seeded a little bit higher. Like, I feel like this is one of those where, similar to Michigan last year, where they played San Diego State, who was like one of the best mid-majors in the country. Both teams were like, this is just not, like, we feel like we shouldn't be matched up in the first round. Similar kind of vibe there. So quickly, just on that point, interesting matchup to watch there.
Yeah, before we move on, obviously UCLA 7, Michigan State 3, Ohio State 8. So those are the 3
Big Ten teams there
in that region.
All right, but moving on to the West. Tell me, this is probably actually, no, this definitely is. This is definitely the next probably most stacked region outside of the East. So let me know quick thoughts here. What do you think?
Well, I see number 4. The fact that Arkansas was in that SEC championship game and they're number 4. Yeah, that's tough. Miami's a solid team as well. Purdue, they just won the Big Ten championship. So this is tough. Did Arkansas beat Vanderbilt? No, right?
Yes.
They won the SEC. Well, so there you go. That's even my point proven even more. Arkansas, the SEC champion. Wisconsin, another solid year. Yeah, this is Villanova. Yeah, this is good. I wouldn't say. Yeah, I think Duke right now would beat Arizona, but that 1-2 and that 4 and 5 is good to see.
Yeah, I don't know. Arizona looks real hot. They are one of the least volatile, so like the most consistent teams in the country, and the fact that they're so good is scary. Like Michigan is, we've seen Michigan do this ups and downs all year, but Arizona has just been consistently good. So I think if you're, either a Wisconsin or Arkansas fan, you're probably pretty mad about this draw. Just having to play one of those, having to play each other potentially in the round of 32. Those are 2 really good teams. High Point is a team that is super run and gun, high scoring, wants to play fast. So that should be a fun matchup with Wisconsin.
In the tournament.
Yeah.
That's big time in the tournament. We've seen, Oral Roberts was like that when they beat Ohio State. I will say that 8-9 matchup, not worried for Villanova at all. Arizona, if they played Villanova or Utah State.
Oh, no. I don't think Villanova is 8 seed caliber. Their resume might be, but I think Utah State is actually pretty good. I'll be taking Utah State there if you want some. If you want my bracket tips, I'm sure that won't go well now that I said that, but
I'll probably do that now. You said that.
You should. Yeah, Utah State. Good team out of the Mountain West. But yeah, that Wisconsin-Arkansas matchup, Darius Acuff going against Nick Boyd and John Blackwell, maybe the best backcourt duo in the country. If it happens, would be an absolute insane game. But yeah, that High Point one, that's one of the 5-12 matchups to watch for sure. Both Wisconsin and High Point, they're microwaves. They can get super hot, super quick, and like you said, that can be super dangerous in the tournament. Looking down, Miami is a team I really like, actually. Trey Donaldson, wish he was still at Michigan, but, tier, that's all right. Pretty good draw for Purdue, I would say, to make an Elite Eight game.
Yeah.
Gonzaga, I don't think is as good as their seed suggests. We saw what Michigan did to them earlier this year. This is probably like the most likely 1 versus 2 Elite Eight game region I think we have. What do you think there?
You said, say again?
Sorry. This region, the West region, is probably the one that's most likely to have the 1 and the 2 seeds meet in the Elite Eight.
I want to see I want to double check the other regions, but Purdue, great game today against Michigan. Arizona, like you said, might be the most consistent team, and you saw them beat Houston twice. They beat them in Houston and just beat them in the Big 12 championship. It was a close game, and they need that close game going into the tournament, and they showed it. The resilience. So yeah, Purdue, Arizona. I mean, you see other teams. I think it'll be a fight for who plays Purdue and Arizona in the Sweet 16. But other than that, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it's just a 1 and 2.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. Out of the West, we'll go ahead, go to the Midwest, go in an order of the number 1 seeds. Obviously, this is Michigan's region. We can start there. UMBC and Howard. Hopefully, that's not a problem. Actually, that game is going to tip off at 7:10 Eastern, I think,
Those
on
two
Thursday.
teams are neighbors.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. Didn't think about that. But yeah, that game's going to tip off at 7:10 Eastern on Thursday. I won't be able to watch it, so if Michigan would find a way to get themselves in like an absolute battle with Howard. They would, based on how the season is going, they would absolutely do that and then go win the Natty. But yeah, hopefully not, because I won't be able to watch. Georgia and St. Louis, pretty good draw in terms of an 8-9 game. I don't think that's anywhere near the level of like an Ohio State TCU.
No,
both are teams that really want to get up and down the floor. They played a super fast pace, some of the highest pace in the country, which plays into exactly what Michigan wants to do. And Michigan has struggled this year against some of the Big Ten teams, not all, but some who want to slow the game down, play limited amount of possessions. But yeah, those two teams playing that style plays right into Michigan's hands. So I think they have a really good chance to get to the second weekend. This group of 4, I talked about this on TikTok earlier too, the Texas Tech, Akron, Alabama, Hofstra, insane group. I'm not sure how much you know about any of those teams, but some of their guards, like it's going to be electric offensive basketball. Alabama is similar to Georgia and St. Louis, where I shouldn't even say similar. They're like those teams on steroids in terms of pace, and they play zero defense. And then Hofstra, that's a team I know pretty well from playing against them. Akron, really good guards. Can't remember their lead guard's name, but then you have Christian Anderson for Texas Tech, assuming he's healthy. Just absolute battle of guard matchups there.
I look at the number 2 seed, and I always wonder every year what 2 seed could lose the quickest, and I think it's Iowa State.
Really?
I do. Based on what's happened these last couple of weeks, a bummer way to end the season, and the way of play doesn't exactly match what is good for March Madness, at least in the last month. I mean, you could say that same thing about how Michigan's been playing, but you look at the other 2 seeds. Why would I think, example, Purdue all of a sudden lose? So if I were going to pick it upset, I wouldn't necessarily say they'd lose to Tennessee State, but
no,
if they played Kentucky or Santa Clara, I wouldn't be surprised if it's a close game.
Yeah, no, I was
also at the same time. I mean, I know Virginia did almost beat Duke, but I saw them play against Tech, and they lost and struggled big time. And Tech was
I was actually going to say I think Virginia is one of the 3 seeds who I wanted in Michigan's bracket.
Well, there you go.
Just comparatively. But yeah, Iowa State, they shoot the 3 ball very well, and they defend really well, which makes a good team. One reason that people are not high on them is they are a terrible free throw shooting team. And we know how much that matters in Iowa State. Iowa? Yeah, terrible from the line for whatever reason, because they're a great shooting team overall. Like I think they're one of the worst in Division I in team free throw percentage. So interesting there. And yeah, like Alabama at the 4, Texas Tech at the 5 without JT Toppin. I feel like if Michigan doesn't make the Final Four, that would be a surprise to me. But you know, we'll see there. And a team like Kentucky, like you're right, they are super talented. They just haven't really been able to put it together in a lot of games. So I feel like teams like that always have a shot to just get hot. Big, good players make big plays, and
it's about once a year.
Happens there.
Once a year, a team like Kentucky goes off.
Yeah,
you get hot against a 10 seed, a 12 seed, then you roll from there. But yeah, I would say good. Michigan, the only Big Ten team in this region.
Yeah,
I mean, I like this path for you guys. This could be good.
Yeah, that's probably my favorite part about it, honestly. Besides some of the lower seeds, I'm done playing all the Big Ten teams. I feel like Michigan's created just a target on their back. Teams have maybe figured out ways to play us, but yeah. So I'm glad. I'm very happy with the draw they got this year. I think it's favorable for them, but obviously, you're not trying to just beat Iowa State. You're trying to win a national title. So,
yep.
But yeah, take one game at a time. Before we move on to the South region, what are your thoughts on the Miami, Ohio situation? 2-bid MAC.
Yeah, I mean, they won what, 31 games in a row?
31. Yep.
31-1. Come on, you got to put them in. Teams lose. You can't. It's so hard to go undefeated in any sport. And props if you do it. And especially in basketball, you're playing 31 regular season games. You win, lose one game, you get upset. Upsets happen. Are you all of a sudden bad because is UVA bad because they lost? When they lost, is Purdue bad? Was Ohio State bad when they lost to Oral Roberts? No. They get upset. Miami, Ohio, to me, there's no reason why they wouldn't deserve to get in. They won 31 games.
Yeah. Especially when you look at how bad some of the other bubble teams were this year, like Auburn and Oklahoma, Indiana, or some of the first 4 teams out. I think this is the right thing to do. Put them in the first 4. The MAC is not traditionally a 2-bid or a multi-bid league, but put them in the first 4.
And traditionally, we don't have 30-win teams.
This is true. But, put them in the first 4, give them a shot to prove where they belong. Like, I think it's the right move. Like you said, winning 30 games is winning 30 games. Don't care what kind of schedule you are playing against.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing with college football. You go undefeated as a group of 6 team. There's no reason why you don't deserve a shot.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I agree with that.
I think
there's 68 teams. Come on.
Exactly. It's not like you're putting the bracket together thinking all 68 have a shot to win it all, right? Nope. Like I hope no one thinks that. But like give
them a chance. It's all about giving them an opportunity.
Yeah. And give them the stage. Like it's about the student athletes at the end of the day. I think they've earned the opportunity to play on the biggest stage. They're going to be playing close to home in Dayton. There should be a lot of Red Hawk fans in attendance there. So, yeah,
be
excited for that one. All right, moving on. Last region here, we got the South, probably the weakest region. Also, just kind of the most there's a lot of teams in here who are very have a lot of variance. Have some big wins, but also have some weird losses. What are your early thoughts here?
Last year, I had Houston winning it all in my bracket. They lost to Florida. Not high on them this year.
No.
I'm not. I saw them play Arizona twice. I've seen catches a good amount of their games. Got some friends who actually went to school there, and the way that their defense compared to last year, it's nothing. They've suffered. I know they're number 2 seed, but they are good. But I'm not as high as them as this year compared to last year. Florida, honestly, maybe the same thing. Maybe they have a rematch, a 1 and 2 seed, but I'm looking for this. I would actually want to see Illinois, if they can, they've struggled in March Madness. If they can get themselves into the Elite Eight, I would be fine with that.
I was gonna say I actually like Illinois' path here. They've fallen short of their goals quite often in recent tournaments.
Yeah,
My mind goes back to that. Maybe it was 2 years ago where they matched up with UConn, and UConn went on like a 30-2 run against them or something like that, which is just that's just devastating. Maybe it was last year. No, probably 2 years ago. But yeah, Houston. I actually think Houston is very good defensively, but they have shown the tendency to just go ice cold on offense at times.
that's the problem.
Um,
Well, that was the
they're
problem last year
very
as well.
Yeah, they're very guard heavy, and so they would like they have guards who make tough shots. The issue with that is there are times where they settle for a lot of tough shots. They don't get a ton around the rim at times, and they can go on some cold stretches. They went on a couple yesterday against Arizona, even though that game ended up being close. But yeah, outside of that, Nebraska, another Big Ten team, one that I think most people said, this is the year they're the only power conference team that hasn't won a game in the NCAA tournament. This is Troy is one of the better mid majors in college basketball right now. This is not a matchup I would love if I was Nebraska. I think it would be absolutely hilarious if somehow after going 20-0, being one of the last unbeaten teams, they still can't get past the first round.
That'd be too bad to see if they did get upset by Troy. I do enjoy Big Ten teams dominating in brackets. Like when there's so many teams. Last year, football, but the bowl games, it was good to see what the Big Ten can do. They have struggled dearly in basketball when they play other conferences. So that'd be too bad if Nebraska gets upset by Troy. But you're right. They kind of Colgate is another one that's pretty good. Troy's another solid tournament team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Definitely,
and if Nebraska was playing this game, a few weeks ago, I'd feel much better about it. But man, they've just been playing so bad as of late. They get destroyed by Purdue. They lost by like 20 to UCLA. Just not great.
Iowa,
Also,
number 9, number 8. I've seen Clemson play. They're not bad. Clemson's not a bad team.
Iowa, Bennett Sturts, I think they just have one of those guards that's due to go off for at least a game. So that's kind of what my thought is there. VCU, North Carolina, very interesting game because North Carolina's without their best player, Caleb Wilson. That's, part of the reason why they're on the 6th line to begin with. This is only, I'm going to check to be sure, but this is only like a 2-point spread, which is very interesting.
It's shocking. I mean, Caleb Wilson's injury is such a dagger to this UNC team. You saw them go into Duke and beat them. And Duke was at peak performance at that point, and they ended up beating them on the backs of Caleb Wilson. So, and you saw losing them. Duke plays them again, and what, they win by 25. I mean, it was some ridiculous.
It wasn't
number.
Pretty, yeah.
And it showed. It showed. I mean, this is a major issue for UNC, who I believe didn't make the tournament last year.
I don't think they were in the first 4.
Oh, okay, maybe you're right. But either way, this is too bad for North Carolina and VCU. If I don't know if you have it up yet, this is an upset, quote upset, that people will be choosing.
This is going to be one of those favorites. Yeah. Yep. UNC's favored by 2.5.
There you go. Currently. And so they know. I mean, they know that UNC is without the best player. VCU's playing solid basketball. Yeah, this will be a good game.
Yeah. Another thing to look at too, Vandy, potential Sweet 16 matchup with Florida. They just played a couple days ago, and Vandy absolutely housed the Gators. Won by like 25.
Yeah.
People have been really high on Florida, thinking, maybe they go back to back, and then kind of got their momentum just absolutely halted right there. So potential matchup there. But yeah, this is the region the most where I think any number of teams could come out of it and go to Indianapolis.
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, Houston's defense carries them. 99% of the time every year. If they can figure out that offensive side of their game, then they would have a national championship already. But they can't. They that's what lost them last year against Florida. Florida, like you said, tough loss recently. North Carolina has gone down massive number. I mean, they were probably projected a 3 seed at one point, maybe 2 seed after they beat Duke, and now they're at 6 with other best players. So this one for sure. Troy again, like you mentioned, against the 4 seed Nebraska. So we'll see. I mean, Clemson's also a solid team. They beat Iowa. You know what they could do against Florida, St. Mary's possibly. They have always a solid program. Illinois is the team that I will be looking out for in this South region.
Yeah. Just overall, I think people are nervous that because the top 1 seeds, Michigan, Arizona, and Duke have been so dominant all year, right? All of 30 plus wins, that we'd see a very chalky March Madness like we did last year. But some of the mid-majors are really good, like some of the higher seeds, even some of the higher seeds, like the power conference teams, a lot of them have big wins. They just, have stumbled here and there throughout conference play, something like that. And the higher seeds have all shown to be vulnerable too. Like Michigan obviously is vulnerable. Duke going to be playing through some injuries. They almost lost to Florida State. They sneak it out against Virginia. Florida gets handled by Vandy. So I think hopefully this is a very electric type of March Madness that we're used to seeing, but
it's possible. And last thing I'll say, obviously, good to see Ohio State in it, Bruce Thornton especially.
Yeah.
Michigan has a good path to get themselves at least to the Elite 8. 9 Big Ten teams. It's time for the conference as a whole to turn it around. No more excuses. They did in football, now they can do it in basketball. Get themselves.
I mean, is this the year? Is this the year that the Big Ten drought is over? Michigan is currently still the betting favorite in odds. To be honest, I don't know if any other Big Ten team has I think the gap between the Big Ten in terms of like ability to win a national title. I think Michigan is still above the rest, even though Purdue beat them today. But that's kind of where my mind is at. So we'll see. I mean, Michigan went undefeated against, or besides Duke, I guess. Michigan played well against not only the Big Ten, but played really well against some other, good opponents from other conferences. So, we'll see there.
All playing the right ball at the right time. That's what March Madness is all about. So we'll see what happens. I mean, the next time we are here, Ohio State and Michigan, we play Ohio State playing on Tuesday at 12:15.
Thursday.
Thursday. Oh yeah, Thursday. Michigan's also playing on Thursday. Yeah, so both of our games will be played next time we're on this, so that'll be good.
Yeah, well, the whole first and second round will be over by the time we're recording, really.
Yep, go re-download your March Madness app, as I did for the 9th year in a row.
Yeah, Live, ESPN, TC.
There you go.
Time from both.
Go get it, and then delete it after. Annual tradition. Anyway, let us know in the comments who you have winning the tournament. First round upsets. I'm curious about that.
Oh, let me add something.
Yeah, go ahead.
Got an interesting stat that I found out today. One, I was trying to, obviously after the game today, I was trying to make myself feel better about Michigan looking terrible.
You get ice cream?
No, I just went diving into some stats. Where'd it go? Okay, so 4 of the last 11 national championships won their conference tournament, but 7 of those 11 teams did not.
There you go.
So still some juice there. Also, I think another stat I saw is that any team who loses, no team who's ever won a national title has lost their opening conference tournament game. So that knocks out a few teams like Michigan State, Illinois, Texas Tech. Interesting one there. And then if you're willing to hear another one, you willing to hear another one?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Every team who has a KenPom rating going into the tournament of above 35 ever in the history of KenPom, which is multiple decades has made the Final Four. So that's been 8 teams.
Yeah,
Currently, Michigan, Arizona, and Duke all fit that criteria. Yep. So we'll see if history holds true there. That's all I got.
I'm sure at least one of those teams will make it.
Yeah, it would be madness. Right. 0 of the 3 made it because they've been kind of the top dogs of the country all year. But
I'm kind of hoping for a different outcome. Last year we had all 1s, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the Final Four, it'd be nice to have some 12s and some 16s, maybe a 17 seed get in there.
A 16 seed in the Final Four?
Yeah, 16 or 17 seed.
As long as Michigan's in there, I would love, I love the Cinderella story, but especially when I remember in 2018, when Loyola Chicago went on that run and ended up facing Michigan in the Final Four, not opposed to a matchup like that.
Oh, obviously, yes. Yeah.
Or maybe an NC State from a couple years ago. Not opposed to it, but Michigan and Duke are on opposite sides, which is what I wanted because I still want that rematch. I still want revenge. So.
They did it on purpose, just like how the World Baseball Classic wanted the U.S. and Japan to be facing each other. Now both of them might not be playing in it, but we'll see.
We'll see.
Anyway, go follow us on Instagram. Wes Clark 1, Andrew.Hayden. Let us know comments, upsets, your prediction to win the national championship. Felt like yesterday we were talking about football national championship, and here we are coming up college basketball, the end of the semester and just the school year. So excited to another tournament for college basketball and college sports.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see you guys next week. Thanks for watching.